It started like 100 other shifts Officer Brian Keller had clocked in this sleepy town. The kind of shift where the air feels thick with routine and the only thing louder than the police radio is the sound of your own thoughts counting down to clock out. The sun dipped low on Hollow Creek Road, casting gold over the asphalt. One of those rare sunsets that could make even a beat cop feel poetic. Keller was halfway out the job in his mind, already thinking about leftover meatloaf in the game, when a black SUV rolled past with just enough road dust on the license plate to justify a stop. Barely anything, but just enough. He switched on his lights, casually signaled, and eased behind the vehicle. The SUV pulled over like it had nothing, to hide, smooth, quick, cooperative. That made Keller hesitate. People usually slow roll, hesitate, play coy with the lights in the mirror. This one didn't. He ran the plate. Clean. Still, he stepped out. Habit, gut, whatever you want to call it. The air shifted the moment he approached the window. The tinted, glass lowered halfway, and behind it sat a black woman in her mid-30s, poised, calm, not surprised. Chin-length braids framed a face that showed zero fear, only a cool kind of control that threw him off balance. Her hands were visible, resting on the wheel, no sudden movements. Her blazer was crisp, her expression unreadable. When he asked for license and registration, she handed him a slim leather wallet. Precise, silent, no fidgeting. That more than anything made him uneasy. "Name?" he asked. "Naomi Carter," she said evenly. He flipped open her ID. It bore the DHS seal. It looked federal, but not like the ones he knew. Not FBI, not ICE. Something else. Something off template. His suspicion sharpened. "Where'd you get this?" he asked. "It's real," she replied, still measured. "You sure about that?" he pushed. "Because I've been on the force 10 years and I've never seen one like this." The tension began to coil tight. She didn't flinch, didn't blink, didn't get defensive. "I'm aware," she said, "but it's not fake." Still, he stepped back and called it in. Protocol, paranoia, bias. Maybe all three. "Dispatch, I've got a female driver. Possible federal ID. Doesn't match templates. Requesting backup." By the time he returned to the SUV, 2 younger officers had arrived. He told her to step out. She didn't argue, didn't stall, just calmly unbuckled, stepped out, and stood on the shoulder. That's when it got louder. "I'm placing you in cuffs until we verify your identity." One of the rookies said, visibly nervous. "You're making a mistake," she replied. "You can explain it at the station," Keller said, avoiding her gaze. Around them, the world slowed. A woman walking her dog stopped and pulled out her phone. A jogger across the street paused to record. Naomi didn't resist. She turned, let the cuffs close around her wrists. As they snapped into place, her blazer shifted slightly, just enough to reveal a discreet earpiece behind her ear. Keller saw it, said nothing. There was something about her quiet that unnerved him more than yelling ever could. She wasn't scared, she wasn't smug. She was something else entirely. Composed, focused, like she knew something he didn't, like she was waiting. "You live around here?" Keller asked. "Just passing through." "Where were you headed?" "Home." "Where's home?" She looked straight at him. "I think you already know I can't answer that." That answer burned hotter than a curse. She wasn't mouthing off, but she was holding ground. Calm like someone who'd rehearsed this moment. Calm like this wasn't her first time. Behind them, a teenager in a hoodie yelled, "Y'all cuffing her for what? A dirty plate?" Phones were out. Eyes were watching. And Officer Keller. He still thought he was in control. Still thought this was a routine stop. But something in the air had already shifted. That calm wasn't surrender. It was the quiet before impact. He had no idea just how wrong he was. The air had grown heavier by the second. Whispers and camera phones multiplied as bystanders sensed the tension escalating. Officer Keller planted himself near Naomi like a wall, chest tight, jaw clenched, hands stiff by his sides, still convinced he was in control. but deep down something old and primal stirred in him. A hunch, a heat in his gut, the kind that used to keep his grandfather up during Vietnam patrols. Something bad was about to happen, or maybe something big. Then, without warning, the street erupted with the sound of tires clawing at the pavement. Two massive black SUVs came screeching into the scene like predators. No sirens, no flashing lights, no markings, just muscle and purpose. They halted with mechanical precision right behind the patrol cars. 4 doors slammed open in sync. Out stepped 3 men and 1 woman, all in tailored dark suits, all moving with the seamless choreography of trained agents who didn't need to ask questions. They already knew the answers. Keller instinctively reached for his belt, not his weapon, his radio. But one of the suited men was already flashing a federal badge. "Federal Protective Service," the man barked. His voice was sharp, clipped, practiced. "That woman is in our custody. Release her. Now." Keller stepped forward, trying to steady his voice. "Her ID didn't scan. I haven't confirmed anything. I can't just—" The tall agent's expression turned to steel. "Officer Keller, you're 10 seconds away from turning a routine stop into a federal disaster. Agent Naomi Carter is on assignment. Deep cover. Your actions have already compromised part of the op. Uncuff her. Immediately." Silence fell. One of the rookies, barely out of the academy, shifted nervously. He looked at Keller, waiting for a cue, but none came. The woman in the black suit stepped beside Naomi, knelt slightly, and spoke in a low, clear voice. "Agent Carter, are you all right?" Naomi gave a single nod. Calm. No emotion. No vindication. Just the same laser focus she'd carried since the moment she was pulled over. The woman pulled a small scanning device from her coat and held it. Over Naomi's ID. A quick chirp. Green light. Screen. Verified. Keller's breath hitched. His thoughts stuttered. This wasn't just above his pay grade. He was standing on a stage he didn't even know existed. "Who are you people?" he asked, voice quieter now, unraveling. The tall agent didn't blink. "We work with people who don't carry business cards." And that's when it happened. Naomi didn't speak, didn't protest. But her head shifted slightly, eyes scanning the sidewalk crowd. Her gaze stopped on a man in a gray hoodie standing dead still. No phone out, not recording. Just watching, too calm, too quiet. "Target acquired," she whispered into her earpiece. The agent closest to her snapped his head toward the same direction. The moment Naomi's eyes twitched, the hoodie man bolted, darting across the street, weaving through pedestrians, vanishing behind a dumpster. "Go," Naomi ordered. Like a fuse lit, one of the agents took off. His footsteps pounded the concrete. The crowd parted instinctively. A soft thump echoed seconds later. Non-lethal takedown. Then the agent reappeared, dragging the hoodie man by the arm. The suspect's sweatshirt had slipped slightly, revealing a thin wire taped along his ribcage. "Tracker," the agent confirmed, breathing steady. Not a mic. He was watching her, not listening. Naomi's eyes darkened, her words cutting through the noise like a scalpel. "This stop wasn't random. Someone fed them my location. Someone rerouted me into this street at this exact time." Keller blinked hard. "Wait. You think someone on the inside leaked your route?" Naomi didn't answer. She didn't have to. Her gaze shifted to one of the rookies, the same one who placed the cuffs. Her eyes dropped subtly to the officer's belt radio. One breath. One glance. The rookie froze. Keller saw it too. A tiny pulse of guilt. A stiffness in the rookie's spine that wasn't there a moment ago. Naomi didn't raise her voice. "I need access to your precinct. Right now." Keller stepped forward. "Why?" "Because if someone knew where I'd be," she said, "it didn't come from me." There was a pause. Then her eyes bored into him. "Then where?" he asked, already regretting it. She didn't blink. "Yours." No one moved. A dozen phones, still recorded. Naomi turned without another word and walked toward the black SUVs. Her wrists were red where the cuffs had been, but her stride was strong, steady, purposeful. Keller didn't follow immediately. He stood there, jaw tight, mind racing, the edges of his world tilting like a boat taking on water. That name, Agent Carter, that badge, that certainty. He'd cuffed a ghost from a deeper war, and now the real battle was just beginning. As she stepped into the SUV, Naomi didn't look back, but the look she left behind in the eyes of every person watching said it loud enough. She wasn't the problem, she was the firewall, and the system? It just sprung a leak from the inside onto the scene, no sirens, no words wasted. Men and women in suits, Federal Protective Service take over. Naomi is revealed to be an undercover agent. One phrase chills Keller. You're seconds from a federal disaster. A suspicious man in a hoodie in the crowd. Target. Acquired. A short chase. A man captured. A wire found. They were watching me. Naomi accuses someone of leaking her route. She subtly signals one of the rookies, possibly the leak. Tension shifts. Naomi takes control, demands access to the precinct. Naomi walked through the precinct doors like she'd been here before, calm, unbothered, and alone. No suits, no backup, no flashing credentials. Just her. Her blazer was slightly wrinkled from the cuffs, and the red marks on her wrists hadn't faded yet. But her stride was pure control. The hum of fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Keyboards clicked. Radios muttered in the distance. And then she said it clear and measured. Internal audit, secure the floor. The desk officer blinked in disbelief. Ma'am, She flashed her ID. No need for volume, just authority. The badge said enough. He reached for the phone, hesitated, then called it in. Within minutes, the atmosphere shifted like a thunderclap. Conversations ended mid-sentence. Officers glanced over their shoulders. Two of them quietly backed out, of sight. Naomi moved like a shadow slipping through cracks. Like she'd walked this hall in a dozen cities before. She turned left at the last corridor, stopping in front of the server room. A steel door marked, Authorized Personnel Only. From her pocket, she retrieved a coded access card. The scanner blinked green. The door opened with a low mechanical click. Inside it was cold. Data centers always were. The room hummed with the quiet pulse of blinking servers, glowing monitors, and running logs. She pulled a flash drive from inside her coat and plugged it in. One by one, she began copying access logs, dispatch recordings, officer GPS pings, radio transmissions, anything that might have been corrupted or tampered with. Behind her, heavy, footsteps echoed. She didn't look up. She didn't need to. You just walk in here like it's your house now? Keller's voice was low, brittle. Naomi kept her eyes on the loading bar. I don't have time to explain the entire chain of command to you. He stepped inside, now blocking the door. I think I deserve to know what the hell's going on. I was part of that stop. You're using my precinct like it's your personal database. Naomi finally turned to him. You almost blew a federal operation wide open. You want a memo? For that? Keller flinched. I was doing my job. No, Naomi said, quiet but surgical. You were doing what you thought your job was. There's a difference. Before he could respond, a voice cut through the hallway like an old wound, reopening. Well, well, look who rose from the dead. Naomi froze. Her jaw clenched just slightly. She turned. Standing at the end of the hallway was Deputy Thomas Raines. Stocky build, clean-shaven head, crisp uniform that looked too deliberate for a late shift. His hands were relaxed on his hips, but his smile didn't touch his eyes. Keller glanced between them. You two know each other? Naomi didn't break her stare. He worked with me, overseas, brief joint op. Raines chuckled. Disappeared. That's your version? You walked away with half a contact list and left 3. Bodies in a safe house, that's my version. Naomi didn't blink. You were the only one unaccounted for. We filed reports, you vanished. Keller stiffened. Wait, he was CIA? Not anymore, Naomi replied, eyes still locked on Raines. Rains took a step closer. You still wear that watch? That old trick still work? You'd be surprised how much hasn't changed, she said flatly. Rains smirked. So what now, Naomi? You playing internal affairs? Digging through old records? I'm here for one reason, she said, pulling a small digital recorder from her coat pocket. She hit play. A voice emerged, clipped, distorted. She leaves the drop point by 7:10, same route every time. I guarantee it. Rains's face twitched. His jaw tightened. That's your voice, Naomi said. Rains stepped back, but Keller was already moving, positioning himself between them. You tapped my signal? Rains asked, his cockiness fading fast. Naomi's voice dropped to ice. You've been leaking information for months. Tonight you nearly got me killed. Rains lunged. Not trained, not smart, just angry. But Keller reacted first, slamming him against the hallway wall. Chairs scraped. A desk rattled. 2 uniformed officers rushed in and pinned Rains. Naomi stepped forward, badge raised, voice steady. Deputy Thomas Rains. You're under arrest for treason, unauthorized foreign collaboration, and obstruction of a federal investigation. He shouted. Lies. Set up. She's making this up. Naomi didn't flinch, didn't even blink, because this wasn't about him anymore. This was about the rot beneath the surface. The cell door slammed with the weight of justice. Naomi stood on the other side of the bars, arms folded, expression unreadable. Rains paced the cell like a trapped animal. You think this ends with me? He said. You think you've won? Naomi didn't answer. You don't even know who's pulling the strings, he said, stepping closer to the bars. You walk around with your badge and your rules thinking you can fix a machine that was broken before you even got here. She took a step forward. You fed my location to someone using an outdated photo. One with long hair. That means they didn't know who I really was. That means your people are behind the curve. He sneered. Then I'm just a pawn? That it? No, she said. You're a thread. One I pulled until something bigger started to unravel. He laughed, but it didn't sound real. You're chasing ghosts. Maybe, but tonight one of them slipped. She pulled a tablet from her coat and tapped the screen. A freeze frame appeared, a traffic cam shot of Rain standing next to a utility box near Hollow Creek Road. He was holding a device. That's you? That panel controls signal relays used by patrol cars. That's how you tracked me. His mouth tightened. You had to dig deep to find that. I didn't dig, she said. I just stopped trusting the wrong people. Keller entered, holding an evidence bag. Inside was a burner phone. Pulled it from his locker. 3 unregistered numbers. All active in the last 6 weeks. Encrypted. Matches past leak patterns. Naomi took the bag, her voice like glass. It's enough to move this up the chain. Rains slumped slightly. His bravado was cracking, turning into something colder. Calculated. You don't get it, he muttered. Even if you lock me away, there are others. This isn't about me. Naomi nodded slowly. I know. She turned to leave. At the door, she paused. You tried to bury me tonight. Tried to make it look like protocol, like routine, but you forgot one thing. Rains looked up. What's that? She didn't smile, didn't blink. I don't break easy. Calm. Alone. Declares. Internal audit. Everything slows. Down at Tenner's server room. Begins data extraction. Keller confronts her. Heated exchange. You almost blew a federal op. Then, Deputy Rains appears. Ghost from the past. Tense back and forth. Accusations. Old mission. Betrayal. Naomi plays a recording. Rains' voice. He leaked her route. Keller arrests him. Naomi declares the charges. In holding cell, Rains taunts her. You don't even know who's pulling the strings. Naomi shows surveillance proof. Connects Rains to signal tampering. Keller hands over burner phone. 3 encrypted calls. Naomi. This goes higher. The fluorescent hum of the precinct seemed to fall behind Naomi as she moved down into the archives. This time, Keller followed without resistance. He wasn't leading, he was observing, watching how she moved, how each step felt calculated, like part of a much bigger operation only she understood. They arrived in the evidence room where Naomi opened a black case she had recovered earlier. Inside, photographs, maps, red-marked locations, and a handful of grainy surveillance stills. She didn't look up. "I wasn't just passing through," she said. "I was tracking someone." Keller leaned in. "Who?" She pulled a photo. Low resolution, but the face was clear enough. Olive skin, early 40s, always seen with the same slim silver case. "He's called Asher. Not a name, a contract alias. He moves data, tech, sometimes people. No politics, just payment." Keller frowned. "So, what's he doing in Reston?" "That's what I came to find out, but now I think I know." She tapped her tablet and displayed 3 marked locations on a digital map: a federal data center, the courthouse, and a city infrastructure hub. All 3 of these experienced system outages this week, and they're all serviced by the same private contractor, Thermax Solutions. Keller's eyes widened. "We use them too, for traffic sensors, patrol cameras." "Exactly. If someone compromised one node, they could hop systems, jump between critical data points without triggering internal alerts. That's how Rains knew my route. Someone inside had full access." Naomi pointed to a service tunnel underneath the map. "This transfer is happening tonight. The last ping on Asher's route leads here. Stonebridge Maintenance Tunnel, built during the Cold War. Forgotten by most, but it still connects all 3 buildings." Keller stepped back, tense. "If he's carrying data, what kind?" "Access credentials, not files, not emails, keys. The kind that unlock active federal ops. If those credentials get out, 6 investigations disappear before sunrise." He shook his head, stepping toward a locker. "I should call it in." "You can't," Naomi snapped. "We don't know who else is compromised." Keller hesitated, then pulled out a tactical pouch and handed her a vest and flashlight. "Then I'm coming with you." "I don't need backup," she said. "I'm not backup," he replied. "I'm a witness." Naomi studied him, then handed him a vest. "Suit up." 15 minutes later, they stood at the rusted mouth of the tunnel entrance, overgrown with ivy and long forgotten by city records. Naomi led the way. Her steps were quick, deliberate. The tunnel was damp, echoing every footstep in metallic whispers. Dripping water, the scent of mildew, and the stifling closeness wrapped around them. Like a trap. They reached the first junction. A soft clink echoed down the corridor. A figure emerged in the faint beam of their flashlights. Asher. He stood calmly, silver case in one hand, the other relaxed by his side. No fear, no surprise, just patience. "You're early," he said. His voice was smooth, almost bored. Naomi didn't hesitate. "You're sloppy." He gave a tired smile. "Still sharp, I see. Are you carrying tonight?" She didn't answer. Keller moved a half-step forward. "What's in the case?" Naomi didn't break eye contact with Asher. "Credentials, the kind that get people killed if they go missing." Asher's brow lifted. "That's not what I was told. You were lied to." Before he could answer, metal creaked overhead. Footsteps. From the far end of the tunnel, a second figure stepped into view. Armed, pale, sweaty, Arthur Greaves, City Infrastructure Liaison. The last person who should have had access to any of this. "I admired your work once," Naomi called out. "You stayed off radar longer than anyone." "And now here I am," Greaves replied, raising the gun slightly. "Exposed. You're standing in a tunnel with a stolen weapon and 10 years of trust about to go up in flames." He laughed, the sound hollow. "There's no trust left. You think you're defending something noble? You're just part of the machine." Naomi took one step forward. "That case holds names, identities, people still in the field. You leak that, they die." Greaves' hand trembled. Asher's eyes shifted. "You didn't tell me what this was." Asher said slowly. "She's bluffing," Greaves muttered. "No. Asher replied, voice flat. She isn't. Then he moved, fast, a blur of motion. He swung the silver case hard into Greaves's ribs. The weapon clattered to the floor. Greaves stumbled. Keller surged forward and kicked the gun out of reach. Naomi rushed in, grabbing the case. She didn't speak, didn't gloat, just clutched it to her chest like it was sacred. Asher raised both hands, breath ragged. I never signed up for this, no guns, no bodies, just a handoff. You just saved lives, Naomi said. That doesn't make you innocent, but it means something. Behind them, sirens began to echo faintly through the tunnel walls. Greaves slumped against the cold concrete, muttering under his breath. He knew it was over. Keller grabbed his radio. This is Officer Keller. We need containment at Tunnel 3 near Stonebridge. 2 suspects in custody. 1 federal agent on site. Situation under control. Naomi didn't speak. She exhaled slowly. Her grip on the case never loosened. In that silence, something settled. Not peace, but progress. The mission wasn't just intact. It was personal now. Her real target, a courier named Asher, connection to recent digital infrastructure breaches. Naomi believes a live data credential transfer is happening tonight. She and Keller descend into old maintenance tunnels, flashlights, dripping pipes, tension. They meet Asher. Silver case in hand, Greaves appears, armed, revealed as the inside man. Tense standoff. Naomi warns, that case holds names of active undercover agents. Asher turns on Greaves, slams him. Naomi recovers the case. Greaves mutters, in defeat, sirens echo. Keller radios in. Naomi, silent but victorious. The conference room was colder than the tunnel. Naomi sat across from 4 silent officials. No medals, no handshakes, just scrutiny. A screen behind them blinked through surveillance footage, timestamps, metadata. They weren't praising her. They were auditing her. You acted without direct clearance, one official said. I stopped a leak, Naomi replied. I stopped a threat. There was no rebuttal, just a pause. Then another screen lit up with Keller's report. A second official tapped her pen against the desk. All recovered intel checks out. The data transfer was scheduled. You prevented a breach. Naomi didn't nod. She didn't thank them. She didn't need their validation. What she needed was outside that room. When the door finally opened, Keller was waiting. Jacket off. Tie loosened. Something in his face had changed. Less posture. More apology. I saw wrong, he said quietly. Naomi looked at him for a long beat. You didn't double down. That's what counts. They stood there a moment longer, the kind of silence that said everything words couldn't. Outside, the world had already moved on. Almost. The video of her arrest, hands behind her, back voice calm, face composed, had gone viral. Headlines battled each other, system error or racial profiling. One cable segment showed the clip on loop with slow zooms on Keller's face. Another invited a panel to argue. Naomi watched none of it. She sat behind the wheel of her SUV, same, calm grip on the wheel. The scars on her wrists were fading, but some marks never went away. She didn't respond to the press. She didn't post. She didn't speak. She just drove. Drove past the precinct. Past Hollow Creek Road. Past the echo of cuffs and suspicion. There was a part of her that didn't want the vindication. Not like this. Because she wasn't the only one who'd ever been mistaken. Misread. Misdirected. How many agents like her had been stopped and never recorded? Never filmed? Never rescued? How many missions had been dismantled because someone saw the dust on the plate instead of the person behind the badge? She drove in silence, but her thoughts roared. The deeper question wasn't just who tried to compromise her. It was who enabled it. Who built the system that made her presence suspicious? Who calibrated the scanners to flag her ID as unknown, despite federal clearance? Who trained officers to follow instinct when instinct was rooted in bias? As she turned down an empty service road, her phone buzzed. Encrypted message, target moving. She read it once, deleted it, shifted gears. She wasn't done. Because clarity had a price and someone had to keep asking the second question.